Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed ve'oshiyenu. Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed. Aseh imanu tzedaka v'chesed ve'oshiyenu. Before we start Farbrengen, so we missed today Jewish history a little earlier. So today is the anniversary of Noah dispatching the dove from the ark after the flood. This is after last week he sent out the raven. This week today he sends out the dove. The dove comes back unsuccessful and had nowhere to land. But the sending out and the coming back unsuccessful was today on the 17th of Elul in the year 2105 before the coming era. Today is also the anniversary, 17th of Elul's anniversary of the wedding anniversary of the Alter Rebbe's parents. The Alter Rebbe's last name was, maybe the Alter Rebbe's last name? Rachavia. His father's name was Baruch. That's why it's called Baruch. His son, the middle Rebbe's name was Shnei Uri. And only from the next generation, third generation, after the Alter Rebbe, so Tzedek, the name Shneerson started. So the Alter Rebbe, who's Shneer, is the Shneer of the Shneerson dynasty, but his last name was Rachavia. And his parents, Baruch and Rebbe and Rivka, their anniversary is the 17th of Elul. Their son, Alter Rebbe, was married 2 years later tonight on the 18th of Elul. In 1939, on the 17th of Elul, was the outbreak of World War II. You know, World War II was a direct result of World War I, which was Tishabah, but World War II was the World War broken out on the 17th of Elul. Tonight is the yard site of the Maharal. The Maharal is cracked earth is tonight in Elul. The birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, 1698. It's 89 years after the passing of the Maharal. Baal Shem Tov was born on the same day. And on his 36th birthday, tonight also is when the Baal Shem Tov officially came out of the closet. Well, he was originally a closet tzaddik. He was a closet tzaddik. He was a tzaddik in the closet. Yeah, like he was a tzaddik in the closet. He was part of originally. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. And of course, it's the birthday of Alter Rebbe. Now, the Baal Shem Tov's parents. So his father passed away. He was 4 or 5 years old, and his father was part of a secret group called the Lamed Vav Tzadikim. He was part of the 36 hidden Tzadikim. They actually had a little club. They had a club, and I'm not sure exactly what they did with 36 Tzadikim. I guess it's hidden. It's top secret. I don't know what they did. But he used to hang out. The Baal Shem Tov used to hang out in the forest, He loved hanging out in the forest because he was able to see nature over there. And most people are afraid of hanging out in the forest, but he was able to connect to Hashem in the forest. Now there was a small child, 4 or 5 years old. Before his father passed away, his father told him, Yisrael knew, I want you to promise me 2 things. Number 1 is that you're not going to be afraid of anyone or anything. You're going to have no fears in the world. Imagine living with no fears in the world. The only fear you're going to have is fear of Hashem. Fear of Hashem. Otherwise, don't be afraid of anyone or anything. And the second thing he told them was to have unconditional love for every single Yid, have complete Avas Yisrael. Now, because the Baal Shem Tov was not afraid of anyone or anything, that's why he was not afraid to hang out in the forest, where he was able to connect, he was able to see nature and connect to nature. In nature, you're able to see Hashem so clearly, and in the forest, there's no one there bothering you from serving Hashem. And so he was able to serve Hashem uninterrupted in the forest. And while in the forest is where he met another person. The forest, the gangsters hang out. And I guess also some tzaddikim hang out in the forest. And I guess Baal Shem Tov being the OG, is that what it's called? OG? OG, right? Original gangster? So the Baal Shem Tov, okay. So it wasn't the original, so his father was listening before him. And so he wasn't afraid of anything. He was able to connect with it. He met over there some of his father's old mates from the hidden group of tzaddikim, and that's where he started becoming a part of them and going on their secret missions. And then on his 36th birthday, on Chai Elul, tonight again, he was visited by his teacher, and he told him, it's time. Okay, I'm not going to use the words coming out of deposit. It's not fully correct. But he came out in the open. He was an open tzaddik. And that's when the official beginning of the Hasidic movement was. Baal Shem Tov passed away on Shavuos he was 63 years old. And lived, unfortunately, a very short life. And but he put in effect what's today, no question, the largest movement in the world, the Hasidic movement, largest movement of Yiddishkeit, large movement of any truth. Baal Shem Tov put into motion on the 30th between. But it is 62 years, short 62 years of his life. So the Chaim, to the Baal Shem Tov, the Chaim to the Rebbe, who also started on this day. Chaim. Because my father was here, start with. Alright, so we're honored to have with us tonight Goldberg from Rachavia, which is a neighborhood of central Yerushalayim. Benji, you know where Rachavia is? Not far from your.
It's a bunch of big schools. The great synagogue. Yeah. About
Rachavia, right here. Here's the Rachavia.
Hello, Rabbi.
Yeah,
Goldberg.
the Fury. Wow.
One of your members.
Unbelievable. One of my original members.
Okay.
Now I know what you're thinking tonight.
No, I don't like it.
Thank you.
I'm just like
Go Shemp.
very like very like fancy like Jewish like it's like a upscale Jewish.
Yeah. That's you're right.
Rabbi Daniel Behar, I went on purpose to the
Alright, so L'chaim Rabbi Goldberg is going to share with us if you're ever visiting Yerushalayim and you want to go to an English-speaking shul, many shuls that you can speak Yiddish, Hebrew, and Spanish, I don't know. Shul Spanish, I don't know. How do you say?
At least a little bit of everybody. Yeah, with Gedalia
I don't think it's English, but
I was wondering why the L'chaim filled the head table. I realized you don't have any cups. Yeah, like I said, it had a head table.
In the short hour that I've been here, I feel tremendously welcome. Thank you, Rabbi. I really appreciate it. This is a real family, real mishpacha. Everyone is so welcoming, and it's a wonderful feeling to be over here. There's an interesting story that took place around 450 years ago in the holy city of Sfat, not so far from Yerushalayim. There was a Jew who was a very pious Jew, a very knowledgeable Jew, and a very special neshama. And he was so special that in the heavens, Hashem decided that we're going to send down Eliyahu and Rabbi, Elijah the prophet, dressed in a body, and he's going to teach him all the secrets of the Torah. We know that Eliyahu and Rabbi can come down to the world in two ways. Either he can come down like in a spark. For example, every time by Pesach at night, we have Eliyahu and Rabbi. He comes a spark by every Brit Milah. Also, Eliyahu and Rabbi comes, but then he doesn't come down in a body. But sometimes Hashem wants Eliyahu and Rabbi to do certain missions in the world, and in those cases he comes enclosed in a body. So one day, this guy hears a knock at the door. Who is it? Eliyahu and Rabbi. Please come inside. How can I help you? Well, on high, in the heavenly court, they sent me down here to teach you all of the secrets of the Torah. You're such a special Jew. You're a holy person, a special neshama. So they sent me down to teach you. You deserve to learn all of the secrets of the Torah, the Kabbalah, etc. I said, okay. And they said, yeah, but there's one condition. What's the condition? The condition is that you have to reveal to me what special thing you did on the day of your bar mitzvah. Says Eliyahu and Rabbi, with all due respect, what I did on the day of my bar mitzvah is between me and my maker, and no one in the world knows about it. He says, yeah, but the only way that I'm going to teach you the secrets of the Torah is only if you tell me what you did on the day of your bar mitzvah. You have to reveal it to me. He says, thank you, but no thank you. It's not a non-issue. I'm not getting into it. If that's the condition, we'll see you another day. I don't know what the comment. That's pretty much the context. Yeah. So he left. He went back up above, and there was a big commotion. You know what to do. On one hand, this guy deserves to learn all of the secrets of the Torah. On the other hand, the condition is a condition. but he doesn't want, the final rule was, he's such a big tzaddik that he doesn't want to tell anybody what he did on the day of his bar mitzvah. He's such a pious person, such a modest person, and so humble that we're going to teach him the Torah, the secrets of the Torah, even though he does not want to reveal what he did on this day, on the day of his bar mitzvah. So the next day, once again, he has a knock on the door. Who is it? Elul Farbrengen. How can I help you? He said, I was told to come down, regardless if you're going to tell me what you did on the day of your bar mitzvah. And every day, Elul Farbrengen came to this person's home and taught him the Torah. Can you only imagine the Zohar, the amazing, deep, mystical interpretation of the Torah, of the Chumash, the Tanakh, the Mishnah, the Talmud. And after 120, he passed away. The neshama went on high. So most people would say, where does this guy go? Right, straight one-way ticket to Gan Eden. But then there's always two sides of the coin. What could be wrong? Can anyone suggest? What in the world could be wrong? I don't know, wrong or incomplete with this man's neshama? Anybody? Someone said, that because he kept his greatness to himself and he did not share with other people, it wasn't a bad thing per se. It's just a fact. Then we have to send his neshama back down into the world, and that's going to be its main tafkid, his main purpose, his main goal, to share the beauty of the Torah and the secrets of the Torah with other people. And when this neshama was sent down, this was the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov had that amazing neshama, and as the Rabbi explained so beautifully about the revelation of the Baal Shem Tov to the world at the age of 36 on today, it's not only that today happened the birth of the Baal Shem Tov, but from here we see that the revelation of the tzidkut, of the righteousness of the Baal Shem Tov, was no less than that, perhaps even more. Because the Rebbe teaches us that the main purpose of why we learn Torah, the main purpose of why Hashem gives us gifts, and we have talents that Hashem gives us. Every person over here has special talents that some of them no one else in the world has. The purpose is in order that we should be able to teach others. In order that we should be able to share the gifts that we have with other people who may be less fortunate than us. I have a friend in Crown Heights. He's the executive director of JLI, Rabbi Ephraim Mintz. And in the 80s, before the Iron Curtain was open, he was one of the special people as a bacher, as a young lad. Before he got married, he was able to get into Russia and to experience over there spreading of Yiddishkeit in whatever way it was allowed then, because it was very, very challenging, of course. And so he told me that he went into the Shul, Merida Russia. It was a small Shul. Today it's huge, massive. And he saw Lazar, that's right. He built up an amazing
Marina Rosa,
the deal. Da, Charasho. And I told you, Rachavia, you have to know at least 5 words in every language, at least. And so he overheard a guy sitting with a younger person, and he's teaching him. What's he teaching him? He's teaching him the Aleph. And this is how it went. He overhears this. He sees this thing. You're scared of the KGB. They were probably listening, so it was a big thing. It wasn't a simple thing to see one person teaching another person Torah. And the guy starts Aleph, and the younger guy repeats Aleph. He shows him Bet, and the younger guy says Bet. Gimel, Gimel. He goes to the Aleph, Bet, and they stop at Mem. And then he starts again. Aleph, Aleph. Bet, we think it's easy, but it's not so easy for everybody. Some people don't know how to read, and it's beautiful to be able to learn the Aleph Bet. That's the beginning of being able to know how to read Hebrew, Lashon HaKodesh. And after the second time he got to Mem, he started again. So afterwards, Rabbi Mintz went over to the guy and says, I just have a little question for you, if you don't mind. Can you just tell me why You only taught this guy till Mem. Why didn't you just finish till the end, the second half? So I'll tell you why. Because that's all I know. The first Farbrengen from the Rebbe said a very powerful line, which he repeated many times throughout the years. That our job is to teach others. He said in Yiddish, if you know an aleph, one letter, teach an aleph. Because there's going to be someone out there that doesn't even know the aleph. If you know a page in Tanya, a chapter in Tanya, teach that to someone else. Because there's someone out there that you're the only one in the world that knows, and you're the only one that can bring them the beauty of the Tanya. You know a Mishnah? Teach a Mishnah, whatever it is. Because what's the primary reason why Hashem gives us gifts and knowledge and experiences? Not that we should be able to go to Kippur and say, oh, I had a very spiritual experience, and to be elevated and to go on high. Some people get on high also from Chassidus. You don't have to get on high from this stuff. You can get on high from Simcha. You get on high from Chassidus. So it's also good. I'm not putting that down. I'm just saying that I'm suggesting that perhaps more important than what we can gain for ourselves is what we can give to other people. It's an out-of-the-box thinking. It doesn't make any sense. Most people say, what do you mean? I learned the Mishnah, so I should know. I should be more knowledgeable. That's nice. It's important to learn Torah. It's important to be more knowledgeable. Chabad, Chachma, Bin Adat, very important. But what's perhaps more important is to influence someone else. Influence your friend. Be a shining example. To the extent that the Baal Shem Tov, he was that neshama that was perfect. You could argue that he was perfect. He lived in Tzfat, and he learned, Tzfat, if you ever in Tzfat, it's all spiritual and Kabbalists and climbing in you literally get high on Kabbalah. But I'm not saying there are many people that also teach. I'm just saying this neshama, what he was missing was something very fundamental. He was missing sharing with other people, and that's what happened tonight. Tonight, when the Baal Shem Tov became 36 years old, he started to fulfill perhaps the primary reason why his neshama came down to the world. It wasn't enough to be perfect, because perfect, I think they say the enemy of good, or the opposite of good, is perfect. But it's a good thing to be perfect. But perfect is not always it's not always so great. But when you're able to influence someone else, that's beyond perfect. That's saying to Hashem, thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn. Thank you for teaching me such great Torah. Thank you for giving me a spiritual experience in the Beit Chabad. Now, I'm going to bring someone else into the Beit Chabad that they should also experience Farbrengen, a Torah class, to come to hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, because there are some people out there who don't even know the Rosh Hashanah is coming, and you can help them fulfill the mitzvah, the biblical mitzvah of hearing the shofar, and then it will be a domino effect, because then afterwards he'll want to come more often, and then he'll bring his other friends, and it's possible that no one else will be able to reach them just through you. That's amazing. So l'chaim everybody, that on this day of Amen. This day of Chai Elul, we should take a resolution, each and every one of us, in our own lives, whether it's our family or a business acquaintance or neighbor, and to try to influence them, because that's why Hashem puts us in certain situations, in order that we should bring people closer to Hashem. God bless. Amen. This is one of the nigunim of the Alter Rebbe.
In honor of the Baal Shem Tov, it's always good to say a Baal Shem Tov story, but in honor of Baal Shem Tov's birthday, it's extra good to say a Baal Shem Tov story. So, one of my favorite Baal Shem Tov stories is, it happened once that there was a woman who was very, very sick. And the family, after trying everything, not knowing what to do, went to the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov asked the Baal Shem Tov to daven for this woman. And the Baal Shem Tov, of course, davened for the woman to get better. But it didn't help. So Baal Shem Tov gathered a minion of his students to come together, all daven together, because we know the power of the minion is extra special, extra powerful. When we daven by ourselves, it's powerful. When a tzaddik davens, it's even more powerful. When a tzaddik davens with the minion, it's super powerful. So Baal Shem Tov gathered a minion, and not just any minion of his students, great Torah sages. They davened for this woman that she should get better, but she didn't get better. So Baal Shem Tov said, I have an idea. Let's bring together children. It says in Tehillim, in the mouths of sucklings and babes. So Baal Shem Tov said, let's bring together little children to daven, just like Mordechai did in the times of the Purim story. And the Rebbe would make rallies also with little children when there was a decree that we didn't know what to do with. They would bring children together. When children come together to daven, it has extra special powers. And the children daven together, but it didn't help. Not get better. He said, he asked the students, you know what? There's a group of gangsters in the outskirts of town. Do me a favor. Call those gangsters. Pull them over. Tell them Hashem wants to see them. And Baal Shem Tov calls them in, they come, they hear Baal Shem Tov calls them, they come. And Baal Shem Tov asks them to daven for this woman. He's not feeling well. They said, sure, no problem. And they daven all together. We don't know how to daven. But Baal Shem Tov told them, repeat after me. And they daven together. And all of a sudden, the woman got better. So the students of Baal Shem Tov asked them, they said, wow, they said, Rebbe, so what's going on over here? Your davening is not good enough. A minion of davening together, our davening is not good enough. You're bringing children, pure children in, not good enough. Thieves, gangsters. That's what works. Baal Shem Tov said very, very simple. I was trying to open up. I was trying all the locks, all the keys to open up the gates of heaven. And I couldn't find the right key. I figured, who knows how to break those locks better than these gangsters, these robbers. So,
they broke people's locks in their house. The Baal Shem Tov said they could break open the locks.
so this story to story, I heard today another story that happened recently in Israel. And this story fits it perfectly. There's a guy who made his living, this guy, unfortunately, who made his living. You ready? He made his living from stealing cars.
Stealing cars.
Yeah, that's how he made his honest living.
It's also a lie.
Parnasa, that's what the Parnasa was. He stole cars for a living. One day, he's stealing a car. Ibn Abraham. And so, this guy, who's a god, he's a thief for a living. So, he one day he's stealing a car in the neighborhood. He breaks into the car. Pull hot wires. Pull hot wire, right? Hot wire. Yeah. Hot wires on the car. And he's off. In moments, the guy was good. Moments he's off. And he's taking this car to wherever he takes it, the chop shop, where they do the car. In Brooklyn, in the hood, they would take it to the chop shop. I don't know what they do with it. Tel Aviv, I'm not sure. Huh? And he's on the way there, he's zooming, and all of a sudden, to his horror, he hears the back seat of the car, he hears a baby crying. He freaks out. Baby crying in the back seat. He turns around, and the baby is blue, purple. He realized that someone, they left by mistake the baby in the car. And it was a boiling hot day in Israel. And who knows what could have happened. Probably they take the Yiddish kid in the car. He's a Ghanif, but he has the Yiddish heart. He rushed right away to the hospital. And he brings the baby into the hospital. He doesn't know what to say. The baby was left in the car. Right away, they take care of the baby. They revive the baby. And they tell him how to take care of the baby. He's like, it's not my baby. So whose baby is this? So he doesn't want to go to jail. So he says, I was walking in the street and I see a baby in the car. So I break the window. I ran away get in, and right away I saw it. I sort of zoomed right here to the hospital. What? Oh my gosh! I need to find who the parents of the baby are. And they go to the glove compartment. They find the insurance registration. They find the name of the parents. They search who the parents are. They call the parents up. You can imagine by now the parents are going ballistic. They left the baby in the car. A hot summer day, they're already going crazy when they found out. And then they go to the car, they run to the car, awaiting the worst, and the car is gone. Here they get a phone call from the hospital saying they have the baby in the hospital. They don't know what to say, but they're delighted. The police department the baby's alive. And they tell the parents to come over right away. Worried things happen. They come to the parents and they give, thank God the baby's alive. And there's a good Samaritan over here. Save the baby.
Sometimes it's good to be a granite.
And they're thanking him. They owe him the world. They tell him at least, they want to thank him for it. They want to give him at least, they're not a family of very big means, but they want to give him at least something, a token of appreciation. They want to give him 1,000 shekel. 1,000 shekel they want to give him. He says, no. I'm not taking that.
Give me the car.
He says, I'm not. He says, I did it for the mitzvah. I don't want any money.
Rabbi, you know that in Israel, the only country in the world where a kind goes to rob a bank, before he enters the bank, kisses the middle.
And so, listen to the story. This is an incredible story. Listen to the story. And so, this guy, he says, no, I'm not taking, I did it for the mitzvah, I'm not taking any money. They're negotiating with them, they say, you know what? At least come to our house for Shabbat dinner. Come to the house for Shabbat dinner. He says, okay, I'll come to your house for Shabbat dinner this Friday. Let's go. Comes here Friday night, Shabbat dinner. Says they made him a meal, a Shalom Zachar on steroids. They welcomed him with the biggest welcome. People had guests here, and they gave him royal treatment. And then they invited him to come the next day to their shul because they made a special kiddush in his honor. And he's there, and comes there. A huge kiddush there, and everyone is thanking him for doing such a beautiful mitzvah. And it was they went all out for him. This guy's thinking, what am I? How did I get myself into this? How did I get myself out of this? They say before Shabbos is off, they tell him, listen, we have a very big Rav, a very big rabbi here in Abraham, very close to the family. And we want you to go to him to get a blessing. He can give you a special blessing.
He didn't ask if he has a car.
So he felt very uncomfortable. But he went. And the rabbi asked him, tell me what kind of special mitzvah you've done to earn such a. Rabbi says, I can't hold it in anymore. I have to tell you the truth. Confession. I'm a ganev. I was trying to steal the car, and I heard the baby crying. He said, they're giving me this honor. I don't deserve it. I'm not a good guy. I'm a thief. Rabbi tells him, he doesn't want to hear about this. He says, tell me something special you've done. I know you've done something special. He says, I promise you, I'm the worst person there is in town. I do nothing special. I do everything bad. He says, no. Tell me something special you've done, because I know the Mishnah tells us, whoever saves one Yiddish and that one soul, as if he saved the whole world. He says, I'm a rabbi for whatever amount of years. He says, I never had the schus, I never had the merit to save someone's life, and you saved someone's life. He says, you definitely have a special schus, you have a special merit. I want to know what honor, what mitzvah you've done to get this honor. Tell me what you've done.
It's true, he could have gone to another car.
So he's thinking. He says, maybe. The Rav says, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. He says, you see, like I told you, I'm a car thief. Now, the first thing I do when I come into the car, when I steal a car, the first thing I do is I open the glove compartment and I look at the insurance and I check what level of insurance the people have. If they have insurance that covers theft, then I steal the car. If not, I go to a different car. The Rebbe says,
He has a conscience.
He says, that's it. That's it. He says. And he told him that Hashem loves him for that. The fact that he did it with such a conscience, he has a special place by Hashem. And he says that he thinks it's fine for him to do teshuvah. This was, and he encouraged him. I don't know the rest of the story, but that's where the story ends.
Oh yeah.
But I heard the story, and I'm thinking this matches up with the story of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said that the people who know how to pick locks the best are those gangsters. And so sometimes we think, hey, maybe I'm not so deserving because, and we have a bucket list of things, the reasons why we're not deserving. But we have to know that even a Ghana, even a thief can be deserving, and even a thief can have extra special powers. So we discussed over here the concept of when we come to Shul to daven together, it's called a tzibur. Tzibur, what's it called? In fact, the chazan is called the shliach tzibur. He's the representative of the tzibur, the community of the congregation. And we discussed that a tzibur stands for tzaddik, Beinani, and Rasha. Everybody, it's a full mix. Everybody's part of the community. We have tzaddikim and Yitzchak. We have Beinani also probably, and we have some. The rest of us, we're showing Beinani. Okay. And so, a tzibur is everybody comes together. We don't say, you know what? I don't like to go to Shul to daven because not everybody there is on par. And and I daven myself, so then my davening say that's not what it is. A Shul specifically where we all come together with the Russia. We all come together. And you know what? Perhaps our davening will be more successful because we're with Russia also. We're with the rest of us. No, trust me. And so, there's no place better to daven than a place where you got some no good things also.
Even on calling it right.
Absolutely. Dafka. So, l'chaim. We should learn. We shouldn't have to be a car thief. We shouldn't have to be a gangster. So Hashem should help us, and we should be able to break in through all the gates of heaven. We should be able our davening, our prayer should go straight through. Straight away, l'chaim.
Amen.
It's appropriate for tonight.
A big thank you to everyone who made tonight for making it possible. Big respect to Rabbi for bringing our tickets. Big respect to the Baraka family and the Lucky family and Sadia and his whole family and Goldberg for joining us and everyone who made tonight possible.
I'm the fine, God bless. I'm the fine, God bless.
When it comes to the Baal Shem Tov, many of us know already that what the Baal Shem Tov innovated was bringing Chassidus in an explanatory way so that many people could understand it, started the movement of Chassidus, which in a sense is explaining the teachings of Kabbalah. We also know about the Achdus and the unity that the Baal Shem Tov brought to the world. But there's one thing which is very interesting, which is maybe not so known, which is also one of the innovations that the Baal Shem Tov made. And that is to serve Hashem with simcha, with joy. All of a sudden, the Baal Shem Tov came along, and he taught his Chassidim, he taught his Talmidim, his students, to daven with joy and singing, and on Shabbos, even sometimes we try not to, but you can clap also. The Baal Shem Tov said it's okay, and dancing and getting excited. So the Misnagdim, that they were, at the beginning of the days of Hasidism, they would say, whoa, wait, what's this all about? Where do we have this simcha, dance, learning in and living your life in such a positive way? They were used to the classical Musar movement, which is obviously a derech, it's a way of service of Hashem, but it's still it's very sad in a sense, maybe a little depressing. Elul was a perfect example for this. Elul, most people, oy vavoy, Rosh Hashanah is coming. The whole world is going to go by the judge, Hashem, the King of all kings, crying and being sad. Chassidim, what do you mean? Elul, it's time to be happy. There was a video that went around last week of a guy coming by the Rebbe for $1, and he said, very, very sad. Things are very difficult for me. Rebbe said, what do you mean? It's Elul now. How could you be sad? A Melech Basada, for the Rebbe, Melech Basada, the king in the field, is not a slogan. The king in the field is literal. One of the greatest Chassidim of the Alter Rebbe, his name was Shmuel Munkes. It was a very funny chassid. Just to explain how funny he was, at one time, a woman, she was in her ninth month, she was overdue, and the baby didn't come out. So she didn't know who the Alter Rebbe was. She runs in, she sees a chassid with a long white beard, and she says, Rebbe, what do I do? I need a bracha that this baby should come soon and easily. So he said, I have a very simple answer for you. He says, just say Yizkor 7 times. So she runs home, she says Yizkor 7 times, and the baby came out easily. 2 weeks later, she comes running back to thank the Alter Rebbe. This time, she came to the real Rebbe, to the Alter Rebbe. And she says, Rebbe, thank you. Thank you for what? Thank you for the bracha. The difference, the white beard, it's all the same. So he says, what was the bracha? She says, Rebbe, don't you remember? Just 2 weeks ago, I wanted to give birth easily, and you told me I should say Yizkor 7 times. I know who told me. I know exactly who told me. He calls him Shmuel, Rebbe Shmuel. What's this? You played to be a Rebbe? What's this? What's this silliness of saying Yizkor 7 times? He says, Rebbe, it's a very simple mathematical equation. If you say Yizkor once and all of the kids run out of shul, so first if you say Yizkor 7 times, for sure the baby is going to come out. So that was Rabbi Shmuel Lucas. That's an example of how it was a great class, a lot of great stories. That's right. He was truly a great chassid. You're right. Good point. It was a very high level. So this story happened on Tisha B'Av. Amongst chassidim, well, we have to be sad, but don't get too sad. Everything is within the framework of halacha, of course. So there's an interesting custom. It's not so much, but the little thing is called bevelach. They grow on the I don't know what they call it in English. Little thing with very prickly burrs. You throw them and it comes in the beard. It takes like a week to get it out. It's not so comfortable. So one time, one time the Alter Rebbe's friend, Rabbi Shlomo Karlin, came to visit the Alter Rebbe. It was Tisha B'Av, and the Alter Rebbe was sitting up there. And Rabbi Shlomo Karlin was a big tzad, sat next to him. So Rabbi Shmuel was very exciting, very maybe lightheaded, but in a positive. But anyways, he had some baralach with him, and he aimed for Rabbi Shlomo, and he got him in the beard. So Rabbi Shlomo turns to the Alter Rebbe and he says, because of guys, he didn't know who he was. Because of guys like that, the base of Mikdash was destroyed. The next day, on Tisha B'Av, and the part of the way of Musar was that people used to go out and with all kinds of affliction, they would roll without any clothes on in honey, and the bees would come and fight them, or ants would come in the forest, and there was a way of, because the way of Musar beliefs that if you afflict the body, then that's a greater way for the neshama to become connected to Hashem. And it was so entrenched into the DNA of Yiddishkeit that even 3 generations into the establishment of Chassidus, they still did that. So they're walking on the way. The Alter Rebbe is walking with Rabbi Shlomo Karliner, and they see from a distance a guy. They didn't see who he was. They saw a guy in distance rolling in the bees or whatever, the ants or whatever. So the Rabbi Shlomo turns to Alter Rebbe and he says, because of people like that, the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt. The Alter Rebbe turns to him and says, the same guy. So even it was still, even the big chassid like that was still into that. It's a certain way of Musar. So this is the idea was very, very entrenched when it came, when the Alter Rebbe came, when the Baal Shem Tov came to the world. But the Alter Rebbe introduced a whole new way of simcha. And so people in the Mishnah, they were very worried. They were very concerned. Well, what's this new thing of simcha? So the Baal Shem Tov had to work very hard to instill this positive approach. The truth is that today, if you come too hard down on people, whether in any kind of relationship, parents, children, parents, in a classroom, friends, spouses, if you're too strict, it doesn't work. You need to be more like the Baal Shem Tov, more welcoming, more positive, more simcha. That's really what catches on today. And that really explains what in yesterday's parsha we had a very interesting verse. The whole long aliyah about all the curses. And then right in the middle it says, why will this happen? Because you didn't serve Hashem with joy and with a good heart, from all of the good that Hashem gave, you should be more appreciated. Is that a reason? Very hard to understand. The question maybe is better than the answer. Is that a reason why Chas v'Shalom, Hashem should give a person so many curses, Chas v'Shalom, the opposite of blessing? But it turns out that when it says in the Tehillim, even though Hashem b'simcha, serve Hashem with joy, it's true. The Baal Shem Tov didn't innovate. This is something which is in Yiddish for centuries. It's not something which is a new thing. But the Baal Shem Tov, the Rebbe said, giving up Shaykh Adamuna, the Baal Shem Tov brought it to life. He explained it. He spread it around the world. He made it real. It's not just something from the Tehillim, from the book. In chapter 100 in Mizmor the Sota, but it's something which we have to live. Something which serving Hashem with simcha, with joy, is something which we have to take on our day-to-day life. That when we serve Hashem with joy, that itself pushes away all the negative things. That's why it says that Teshuvah, right? The month of Elul now, right? Teshuvah. You do Teshuvah with crying and being bitter. That's the classical way of Teshuvah, the way it was. Good thing. That's the way it always was. But according to Hasidus, according to Kabbalah, when you do Teshuvah in the way of Simcha, you surpass all barriers. You're able to break through all the locks, go into any gate, break through anything. And that's it's a direct, easy ticket to get into the highest levels and to be able to stand in front of Hashem on Rosh Hashanah and have Be'ez Hashem a clean slate with all the brachos for all of us in our families.
Of course.
Rabbi has a story he wants to share with everybody. Rabbi has a story he wants to share with everybody.
אתה רוצה לראות את הרבי בישראל? זה הרבי.
There is a very famous adage that the Rebbe is never remaining the Baal Chom. Never. And the proof of it is the story that I'm going to tell now that happened with me. Today, didn't want to tell it for a long time. The rabbi asked me to do it, but today is the appropriate day to make it public. As Rabbi Goldberg said, if you have something good, make sure other people know about it also. Okay. From 1988 to 1993, I was doing business with the ex-republics of the Soviet Union, and especially business was very good after the Soviet Union collapsed. My main center of operation was in the Donetsk and Lugansk region, where all the heavy fighting is occurring today. This is a region that is very extremely rich in minerals, in metals, in natural resources. This is maybe one of the reasons that Putin started with this region. And the story is like this. I believe in 1992, I was going every 2 weeks to Ukraine, staying there for 2 weeks and coming back to Brooklyn for 2 weeks. In one of my returnings, it was on Yutet Kislev. I went to visit my sister in Crown Heights. She was very big on Chabad, Achnasat Orchim. And she told me, listen, the food is not ready yet. Why don't you go next to 770? There is a place, there is a very big Farbrengen. Spend an hour, 2 hours there, and by the time you finish over there, you come, all the guests will be here, the food will be ready. And so I did. As I enter this place, and she told me, it was a very big Farbrengen for Yutet Kislev. There was a puppet with about 6 or 7 rabbis sitting there. And one particular young rabbi, honestly a kid, maybe 18 years old, Shmuel Kamenetsky. I mean, if you will see him today and as he was looking before, there is no resemblance whatsoever. He was a teenager at that time.
He was married.
He only got married at that time. Yeah. Anyway, as I enter, he is by the microphone and explaining and depicting all the problems that he has in Dnipropetrovsk, Ukraine. This is the city where the Rebbe's father had the famous synagogue. And he says there is a woman assistant to the mayor that gives him hard time with kashrut, with the education of children. She makes his life miserable. Now, I listened to his sermon. I have already tickets to go to Ukraine in my pocket because I was going every 2 weeks. And after he finishes the drasha, I walked over to him. I said, Rabbi, I heard what you're saying. Be'ezrat Hashem, next Thursday, I'm going to be in your office in Ukraine. I'm going to take care about it. He tells me, you have a better job than that? I said, listen, you heard what I say. He said, okay. Now you have to understand, I'm an Israeli guy. I listen to something like this, what he is telling, and I have the means to do something about it. So how can I be quiet about it? Now Wednesday, I come to Donetsk, and I meet my partners, the Goy. They were very good with me. I was very good with them. Each one had his own interest. It was a win-win situation for everyone. And I told them the story. Listen, there is a city, Dnipropetrovsk, which is about 500 miles from Donetsk. They know this city very well. And I told them that we have a rabbi that has a synagogue there and who is the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Anyway, I made them understand what's the issue that I had. And I asked them, whom do you have in that city that can make a difference? Now, at that time, the Rebbe's Shul, his father's Shul, Rebbe Levi Yitzchak, the Ukrainians made a joint venture with a French company, clothing company, and they made from the Shul a warehouse. Literally a warehouse. Now, Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky showed me that. I thought I'm gonna jump out of my skin, you know?
Yes.
Yes. So I asked them, the partners, whom do you have in that city that can make a difference? So they said that we have the city district attorney. Now, in those years, in 92, district attorney was not a good word in Ukraine, in the Soviet Union. It was not a good word, you know? And they tell me that if he is not enough for you, we have the county district attorney. So the guy in front of me takes and dials the number of that district, the city district attorney.
Sorry, yeah, by the way, it goes like this.
Yeah.
Pass the phone.
Yeah. This was the proof.
I know.
And they dial the number. ומצלמים את זה. עזוב.
סליחה, how are you? God bless America.
So they dial the city district attorney number, and they put him on the microphone that I will listen. And they tell him, how are you, Mr. Mandrikin? I remember his last name, Mandrikin. How are you? How are you? You know, they exchange a few words about life, how he is doing, how the partner is doing. And they tell him, listen, we have our partner from New York here. He has a special issue. He's gonna come see you tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, he's gonna be in your office. Act accordingly.
Or else.
Now you have to understand, even as a city district attorney needed favor from my partner in clothing, in shoes. Over there, it's not enough to have money. You have to have somebody that will sell it to you. Money is not enough. You have to have the right person that will sell it to you.
Money is never enough. You need the right salesman. Like you told me on Shabbat, remember? Love should be confused.
יכול לשבת בשקט שתי דקות.
Barash.
יכול לשבת בשקט שתי דקות.
Kevin.
Anyway, he will be in your office tomorrow morning. Please act accordingly. I tell my driver, put in the trunk 5 cases of vodka, 5 cases of Muscat champagne, and pick me up at the hotel 5 o'clock in the morning. Now you have to understand, in 1992, Muscat champagne, the average citizen in the Soviet Union didn't see for 20 years. It was only for special people. You couldn't buy it anywhere. He loaded the car, 5 o'clock in the morning. He picks me up. We drive 5 hours to that city. 10 o'clock in the morning exactly, I was by Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky Shul office. He did not believe his eyes. He did not believe that I will really come and see. And I told him, Rabbi, I need half an hour. Give me half an hour. I'll be back. I'll take care of it. From his office, I go with the driver to the city district attorney, Mr. Mandriki. He was waiting already downstairs. I told the driver to unload the 10 cases. The district attorney had saliva coming out.
Saliva? What is saliva?
Oh,
What do you see?
yeah. And we go upstairs to his office, and he tells me, I heard about the issues that you have. I didn't really understand a whole lot. Give me some details so I know how to act. So I tell him, this is our main rabbi. His father had this synagogue. His father was exiled to Kazakhstan. And now the Ukrainian authorities made from this synagogue, they made a warehouse. And this is contrary to a law that was passed in Ukraine, that all places of worship has to be returned to the minority. It was an official law, but the city officials ignored it and still kept it as a warehouse. So I told him, we need your help to interfere to do the right thing. We need this building back. It's not so much the commercial value of it as the sentimental and the spiritual value. For us, it's an historic monument. By the way, it's a beautiful shul near Petrov, with round marble columns.
I'm the only one that can pronounce it also. Nobody else can do it.
Beautiful shul, beautiful. Anyway, he tells me,
One of the shoes I'm not kicked out of.
tell me, thank you that you explained it to me. And he dialed the number of that deputy mayor, the woman, the Ukrainian woman, very mean woman, very bitter. Yeah. And he tells her, listen, there is somebody in my office from New York. There is a very big complaint about your style of operation. What is it with the Jewish synagogue that you made a warehouse? Why don't you give it back? She told him over the phone that in the meantime it's only a proposal, it's not a law. We don't have to give it back unless we really want to. He told her, listen, I'll make it easier for you. In 7 days, if you're not returning the building, my guy's gonna be knocking on your door. He said, I understood. Thank you very much. The next day, she brought the keys to the building. He cleaned out all the bundles full of clothes and material, was returned to Rabbi Shmuel Kaminetsky. Today, it's the biggest Chabad house in the world. Biggest Chabad.
The Russian not trying to get
The
it.
biggest Chabad house in the world.
There's action on that show?
Huh? Yeah.
Hi,
Sorry
hi.
to be a little bit of a show off, but I feel proud. I feel proud.
Is that synagogue?
Yeah.
Is that synagogue?
You
Is that
want to
synagogue?
Okay, let me finish.
Wait, it's a synagogue. Hi. Synagogue. For the synagogue. Human HaMashiach.
Anyway, listen to the next part. I honestly, Betum Levav, as a good Israeli, as a good Jew, went out of my way, but big time out of my way, and came to that city to make a good deed, mitzvah.
I have to change the Talita. Oh, sorry.
Anyway, so Rabbi Kaminetsky in honor of that, he was really begging me, please, dog, help me out. He was only beginning at that time, and he wanted me to have a drasha in front of the congregation to give him some, how to say, not support, but legitimacy. Legitimacy is the right word. And he said, I want you to say a couple of words. I said, okay. But he wanted me to say it when he made for me a Seudat Mitzvah in the Shul. He gathered the whole community, made a Seudat Mitzvah. I said a few words, that he's from New York and so on. And 770 sent him here. He needed legitimacy, because suddenly he appeared over there. By the way, there was another group of religious people from Israel that wanted to topple him over and throw him out of there. So I took care about them also, I mean, for me, Chabad is more important.
For everybody, Chabad is important.
למה אתה לא יושב בשביל? אתה כמו ישראלי הפשוט המצוי, תאכל בתיאבון,
יש פשוט.
רק אתה היית חסר פה. Anyway, he made a Seudat Mitzvah, and in this Seudat Mitzvah, there was a Jew that was a deputy director of a huge metal foundry in Dnipropetrovsk. He introduced me to him. I made a deal with this guy that was the biggest one-time deal that I made in the 5 years that I worked in Donetsk. It netted me $2 million.
Wow.
I went to make a good deed. I went out of my way to make a mitzvah. So how is the Rebbe blocked the Baal Chov, huh? Honestly, it's word by word as I tell you. Word by word.
Yeah, one more story in the Mantle Belt Shir, but before that, Shila na
רב לך. I say it every day, every day.
Facebook, Twitter.
So,
We talk about you, the Farbrengen in the morning. Remember, I was at and Tzaddik is when his name has been sound when he's not here.
so,
Sof davar lakol nishma.
We have this close every single day, special merit, every single day after davening. We're saying the Rebbe's kapitel. Every day we do the Rebbe's chapter. Last year, it was my greatest pleasure to go to Sephardic Shul. As much as possible, I would go at night to Sephardic Shul because by Ma'ariv, they would say the Rebbe's kapitel. They said, every Sephardic Shul I went to, they would say the Rebbe's kapitel. I felt so good about it.
This year?
Last year, every Sephardic Shul I went to, they said
That was in the beginning of it.
Last year, because באמת אומרים את זה, שלא אמרנו את
they'll say, why do you think?
It's like I went to feed the kids of Barashas, and I told them to say speak to each one of them.
And so the barrel would also say the Rebbe's kapitel over here. Every day, the Rebbe's
Every day.
kapitel.
every day.
And so now you'll say the rest of the story, what happened, whatever part you want. Whatever part
Kaf Aleph to the rest of my life.
That's it. The saying, as a result of saying the Rebbe's chapter of Tehillim, they'll tell us the rest of the story. Whatever part you want to say.
Okay.
One second. You wanna turn the.
Yo.
Actually, want to turn it.
There you go. Like,
27,770.
God bless.
Wait, the Rebbe is more with Keith? Alma Canada, you can get that.
I know it's not.
In January this year, I had a girlfriend and I went with her to a European cruise, a Mediterranean cruise. Italy, France, Spain, Sicily.
Come with you next year.
Huh?
Come with you next year.
Well, I would rather it didn't happen, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't need it for next year. It was enough. Anyway, before the cruise, I did manicure and pedicure. No, I went to do it. And I went on that cruise. Now, I cannot pinpoint exactly, but I incurred a terrible, terrible bacteria. Either from, maybe I was cut in the manicure, pedicure, maybe the circulation of the water in the ship contained the bacteria. I cannot say exactly what. And I was hospitalized for 2 months. And after that, I didn't get out of bed for 2 months. After that 2 months, I needed 2 weeks of physical therapy. I was not able to stand out of bed, to get out of bed. The muscles became atrophy, how to say. When you don't walk, when you don't do anything, the muscles become numb, you know?
No.
So I needed physical therapy. I was pulling different rubber bands and heavy lifts, you know, and walking a lot. Yeah. So in this 2 months, I had 3 operations.
Wait.
Now the doctors, the way it looked, it was something, it's nicer than a horror story. You know, the leg looked terrible. And they were floating already words about amputating the leg. In a little bit, if the bacteria would touch the bone, that's it. And I went to the operation on the flatbed, what do you call it? When they wheeled me into the operation room. I said, every day, Uf Kaf Aleph, Al yiten lamot raglecha, Al yanum shomrecha, Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Today, thank God, everything is almost 100% back to normal. This is the Rebbe's capital.
Wow.
Yeah.
In honor of the Rebbe's father's city, again.
It mentions there. השם ישמרך מכל מיני פורענויות הבאות לעולם. You never can imagine what can happen. You never can imagine what can happen. If you would hang me at that time, I wouldn't imagine that I would have something like this, you know? You don't believe it until it happens to you.
JD. So, what was his decision? Unanimous decision was, you didn't understand then, you don't understand now, you could share what you heard. Turn the camera. So much of that is sticking up like, right? The hospitals.
Mañana te mando casa temprano. Mañana te mando casa temprano. A las 8 estás en casa.
Josh Dillon.
Usual shiurim, frequent there. Minute of saying tefillin is the furthest thing from my mind. I didn't know not minute. But I've also said that say the next kapittel. What is tefillin? So I was thinking to myself, look at my shovel. Even I hope it's a small commitment. I was thinking, just take it from the yard, mother. The other says, I grace you commitment. Remember, this test. Rebbe had Ruach HaKodesh, no question about it. That's nicer. You don't think?
Yisrael was asking if you could stand up and you can't hear it.
No, you never want to.
Yeah.
I'm joking, relax.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah. I'm working on it. I got 4 women in my life. Yeah, looks like I am done.
Remember, also, that's the same with David, before Papa, he ever said to me, that Stava, I'll be by the Farbrengen for Papa, that I should say, L'chaim. I'll be by the Farbrengen, and I shouldn't wait. For the other way.
I agree. Should wait.
Shouldn't wait
Where's the Rebbe?
for the Rebbe to call on me. I myself say L'chaim. I remember it was up all that time. It was a very hot day. I had a jacket, and I had either. Yeah. I felt uncomfortable. It was smoke up my blanket. And everyone that was by my blanket, Shul, upstairs, opposite the office, was full. That was the whole big my blanket. And that held already the amount of people that came for the cut off my blanket. So I stood outside of it, made this hooker, 7-7 hooker, stood outside the window, and I didn't go in. The Rebbe noticed, the Rebbe was in the front, noticed myself, I was staying outside by the window. The Rebbe sent to me, and I was getting out high. I was like, no, fuck off. And over the years, I remember when the first convention that I attended, very, very, very happy. All the way home from the convention, I'm singing in the good. When the convention, I was coming back to Long Island.
חודשיים ראית עכשיו.
How did I get to the bottom? Also, we lived in Coney Island. I went to the bike yeshiva bike. And my father and Wayne McCunin from California, grandfather lived in the same shul. I was going to the bike yeshiva, and my father wasn't happy with it. What to have a yeshiva for years from now. So he spoke, that mental unit. Mental unit was a person who came before World War I. He came to America. He was very different again. We have other cities, many cities. What are you doing this stuff? What are you doing now? New York, people used to have in Coney Island themselves bungalows. Rows and rows of bungalows. Now you have some houses in New York. So he would go, mental unit, would come to Coney Island for the summer, and he would take a room, stay the whole summer. My father said, about yeshiva, I'm looking for yeshiva with Kiddush tonight. So And he said that he has the place. No problem. And he was very much, he had a big say in it. About whatever, because he supported it very heavily. He supported about it. So I remember in the middle of the summer, he took the bus, we took the train, went to Preston Park, got off the train, took the shuttle to Deep Street, went down the big long block, and took the elevator to the second floor. And boy, you know it, I was about finished. I was about 10 years old when I had to go about this. And it was, I was able to see, possible to see the people there, and I never did. The only Rebbe I saw was there I remained. After one time, I think that I went on this Shul of an Esrei. On purpose, to have the hospital, the Cornell hospital. I'm ready in my barbecue shoes. And I went to I remember going around and all the water. That summer, I had it also yesterday. After the first year, this was every single year we went into the rest of the Rebbe asked me to turn this I didn't remember. I remember also what I particular patient. He was in a wheelchair. I gave him a ruler, gave him the answer. He wasn't able to hold it. Dropped it. The answer was dropped. He dropped the answer. He wasn't able to speak English. I picked it up. I gave it to him. He helped it stronger, not stronger the second time. And tears came to his eyes. And dropped it again. I picked it up, gave it to him again, and he made it look. But the Shas Meister, when the Rebbe asked me about it, he decided, well, this particular record. And afterwards, he was also the person that was in the wheelchair, very people around. We couldn't understand. So how could I not know and not forget that I did wilderness? Well, that was the end. Because my son left my mind. Another time, also in Coney Island, I went to visit with one of Junior's grandfather.
The one that I'm understanding.
He tells me a lot. He said that the Rebbe told him he's going to go to the hospital. They could take him to the hospital. There's a person, an elderly, but he told the Rebbe told him he's not going for himself. That's what he told him. You're not going for yourself. And he's telling me, also he said to me, when you go to the Rebbe, you feed us, you go get your feeders, give him my regard. Not knowing better. The Rebbe said, give him regards. I came into the Rebbe. I gave regards. It's, it's the thing that you really don't do. He said, where did I see it? I told him exactly what I told. At that time, he told me like this, that to the Rebbe, it says in the Gemara, different keys. There's keys of life, there's keys of Panosa.
3 keys.
But he says to me, to the Rebbe, they gave over every single key. That's what it was. Got to the hospital, tells me, went into the ward, there's a Yid sitting next to him. And he turns to him, to the Jew, and he says he wants a bracha. He's going in for an operation, and he wants a bracha for a portion lane. The guy was smoking something, whatever it was. He told him that Rebbe has the place of the bracha. Give you a bracha, it's not his bracha, it's the Rebbe's bracha. But you have to do one thing. You have to tell me, you make up your mind and promise me that you're going to be a Shomer Shabbos. And he did. He had the operation, he had a successful. And he himself, that's when the doctor said he doesn't get an operation, nothing's wrong with him, he can go home. And the Rebbe told him that he's not going for himself, he's going for something. I had such a story I also heard from somebody else. That's not the person. Story I heard that the Rebbe told him that they're going someplace, not because they're going for another year.
Rabbi Goldberg, no review of the line is going, no point.
We have to be. I don't want to keep it so long.
Can you put your desires away for a minute? Can you put your wants on the side for a minute?
Yeah, another time. I'll tell you what during the 6th day.
Well done.
There's a tremendous feeling, tremendous atmosphere, miraculous atmosphere. Like by the evening, there was a tremendous atmosphere, an unbelievable atmosphere that was prevailing at that time. So, everyone thought that the Mashiach is going to come. Funny. It's so miraculous. 6 days. All the armies, surrounding armies, even sent troops to other places. It was unbelievable. But what was more is that they wanted to give back the land. Give back. Give it to them. They didn't expect it. United States sent a delegation from the United States to Washington to let them know that they wanted to give away land. They never spoke to see about that time. They themselves didn't expect it. They didn't believe it. Right. All the trouble they had was because of that. Because they couldn't keep it, they couldn't sever the land, they didn't have the Kippur War. The Kippur War itself is the Rebbe says a bigger miracle than the 6 Day War. Because the 6 Day War, they took the initiative. Second, the Kippur War was that they were prepared. They knew they were going to attack, but they didn't want that they should say that the that Israel attacked them for rest. Therefore, they had all the losses that they had. What happened? What was the miracle? The end was open to them, but they stopped. He said that it can't be, it's impossible, that it's so easy. No one is stopping
The
them.
miracle was that it was on Yom Kippur.
Huh?
This was the miracle.
Yeah.
Everyone was at home. Everyone was ready. It was very easy to mobilize the army. In 3 hours, the army was on its feet.
That's empty roads.
Empty roads, nobody worked. That's right. This was the miracle on Yom Kippur.
So they stopped. Now Robin stopped. Jordan stopped.
They could not believe their success. They couldn't believe.
They could have took over the whole empty.
Yeah, yeah.
Rebbe say, was it 630 or the Rebbe said about the Rebbe said about Damascus, Damascus. And they said, I'm living in Damascus. My father, Harry Kishner. Harry Kishner. They stopped here in the middle. Come on, this. Yeah. I get it. So I have to hear that when I understand.
Moshe Fellow, we out in Minnesota. Came to me, I had a shul, I was working for the city of New York, the hospital. My wife was also had work. She's doing very well. She says to me, there's a shul in Duluth, Minnesota. This shul in Duluth, Minnesota, they need a rabbi, and want to keep it full of garbage. You know, a long time. That's going to turn conservative. You code, make a good impression, I can put a note in the box. I said to him, look, I'm already set up. No reason for me. He said, just go, see what you can do, see if they can make a good impression. I hesitated, I didn't go. I wrote it to the Rebbe didn't answer. Then I decided,
What? The Rebbe didn't answer? Shafela bien על כולם.
The right time.
so I decided, I decided that I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Friend with my wife, Duluth, Minnesota. From LA, Superior, all the way. And after, what I told my, after my interview, after spending Shabbos there, speaking there, they said that they told Moshe, it's time to get somebody in. Go set up. They're very impressed. And him. He said, Moshe says to me, guess what? I proposed to them, I want to put in the Lubavitcher, but they only want you. They only want you. So I went sometime. And I explained also that I wouldn't have to unpack. So the Mashiach will come.
So Mashiach will come back.
No, the Mashiach will come and we'll have to have the back. That's my book.
Amen.
1997.
One more time. Show me.
Well, did that answer me? Yes, never said to me,
Gangster.
why rock? What does it mean, why rock? I'm talking to the Rebbe. Rebbe Mashiach.
20 years old.
Why rock?
Yes.
Next story.
Last story, you gotta focus on this one. He said the last story.
Rebbe was complaining to Labor Goldberg that didn't see the small letter. Rebbe had trouble seeing the small letter. They called it optometrist, and the optometrist came. He looked at the prescription of the Rebbe's glasses and changed the prescription. 2 weeks later, the Rebbe had the same problem. They called the optometrist again, and they changed the prescription.
Wow.
Third time, the optometrist said to the
Guys,
Rebbe,
it's almost done. 20 more minutes, please. Thank you. I'm joking.
"Hour and a half."
Down and a half. I was just trying to get a private.
The third time, he told the Rebbe that he can't bring the equipment that he needs. The Rebbe has to come to the place. The Rebbe came. When you put in a drops into the Rebbe's eyes, dilate the eye. It takes about 10 minutes. When you have staying around, you have nothing to do, so you can't see. And the optometrist said to the Rebbe, "I have a question that's been bothering me for a while.
Wow.
Can I ask you?" The Rebbe gave him permission. As you know me, he said to the Rebbe, "I'm a very known optometrist. I've traveled throughout the globe.
זה לא ישראל, אתה לא תגיד, זה דרשנים פה, כולם דורשים.
I've had the privilege
That's why I come again.
to observe the Bible, the Meisters, the educational law,
What about me? Can I
boundaries,
take a picture of me?
the Chabad houses. My question to the
I'm
Rebbe
the only-
is,
I'm the only one that have a YouTube channel.
I was joking. It's 5 more
לא,
minutes.
לא, קהל קדוש, תנו כבוד לתורה. Go ahead, Zayda.
how come,
We need a microphone.
somebody asked the
Next time,
Rebbe,
microphone.
how come Mashiach didn't come? You know the Rebbe answered him? I have the same question.
Yes.
The Rebbe showed him his finger. Yeah, really, you need a little more goodness, just a little more.
A little more.
Now we're at Elul. Now that a little more, be clear.
Amen. Amen. Ay, 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 לחיים, לחיים. ay, 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 יחי אדוננו, מורנו ורבנו, מלך המשיח. יחי אדוננו, מורנו ורבנו, מלך המשיח לעולם. יחי, 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 יחי. ay, 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 ay,
How do we know that David HaMelech spoke Yiddish?
Oh, wow. שאלה זו.
No? You know how? How do we know? That's right. It says Api Kasus Keferet. Don't be like.
Even,
You gotta get on Yiddish for the joke.
למה
I
סוס?
know it.
After he can sue, fair.
פלוג.
Fair, the Swiss Yiddish.
Fair.
Anyway, so we have with us, I think the only person in the world, the only person in the world
Did you hear
who's
the
the Rebbe's words trainer. What that means, I'm not sure.
Maybe we'll find out.
But the Gedalia recently moved to the community, and Gedalia share with us what that means and inspire us for Kyle.
Yes, לחיים, לחיים, בדיוק.
Everybody should be blessed, posted, maybe I'll be listening to the blessed, have the main event, Kyle is such a Simcha Dika holiday. Should have the main event, Mashiach,
Amen.
Beis HaMikdash HaShliti, and as the Rebbe and Rayat said, already back in the 40s, like 43, to Chiyas HaMeis.
Amen.
Everything should be covered. The Baal Shem Tov was, as we know, progenitor of Hasidus. There's a nice story about when Rebbe Baruch and the Rebbe Rivka came to him for a bracha to have a child. It was a year they'd been married, and she had become pregnant, so she was very upset. They went to now Baal Shem didn't know to where this child was going to go, but he gave them a bracha that they would have a son that year. They left. They were very excited, naturally, and happy. When Rebbe and Rivka got home, she went to her sister-in-law, who was very learned. In those days, the women were not so involved with learning. She was very complete learner and a learned person. And I think there's the interesting part of this story is that she went to ask for a seder, so she would have this child in a good way, proper way, in a way that's Kedusha. Why is this so important part of the story of it? Because I think it tells people that she wasn't pregnant, but she had the emunah, the teichen, in the bracha from the Baal Shem Tov, that she was going to have a child, not knowing who it was going to be. But that is an integral part, a main point of getting a bracha. And we all know how many brachas we've had.
To believe in the bracha.
The Rebbe and the brachas, the Mashiach, everything. There must be that tremendous emunah and b'teichen, the faith and trust in the bracha, just like she had. And look what came from it. Happened to be the Alter Rebbe. Now the Baal Shem did not know where it was going to come. He knew that there was a new neshama coming down. He did not know to where. Ended up, that's where it went to. And then he gave all the instructions to Rebbe and his wife how to conduct themselves with the important how the child is going to be brought up. People shouldn't know who he is. He was completely hidden. As we know, the Alter Rebbe, that's who it was. That was the baby born to the see the tremendous importance of having a emunah and b'teichen and a bracha that we got. We know our Rebbe, so many brachas that we received, that we have to have the emunah and b'teichen on in Geula Mashiach, which seems to be difficult. As I don't know who the man spoke earlier, he said how difficult the Baal Shem Tov had at the beginning, and then we had Hasidus had difficulty with Misnagdim. We have the same difficulty today. Nothing's changed. There's a difficulty in the Yonim and Gedalia, Yonim Mashiach, but so we have to have that emunah and b'teichen. We have a bracha. This is going to be. It is, and the more we have that, the stronger it will be. You know, I have so many stories from the Rebbe. It's, it'd take me all night, and for 45 years now, in Shlichus for the Rebbe, and it was very interesting. I was in Koilo 8 years in Eretz Yisrael, and I came back, had to come back to Rebbe.
didn't want me to go back. He said, I want you here. I need someone to go out into the world. That was very strange. It was a very strange story how this happened because I didn't hear the Farbrengen that your father, I was in the hospital. My father was very ill. So I didn't hear it. Motzi Shabbos, 3 or 4, maybe more. Shluchim called us saying that was the Shabbos that the Rebbe spoke about the Gebirim. You know, the first Farbrengen that they would have the Gebirim come to the Rebbe. He said they come in once a year, then you don't see them anymore. He wanted them to come. He said he doesn't have anybody to go out. We thought that was sort of strange. This was 1984. 1984, we don't have anything. The Rebbe's already been ready for 34 years, right? Yeah, it's plenty of people. Didn't have. So they asked me to write to the Rebbe. So I did. He said, if you're here, you have this opportunity to do this. So I did it. We wrote to the Rebbe. I did. It's totally looking good. They were there by the Rebbe. Put it in. The Rebbe came back with a very interesting answer. His answer was, Im, he must be ma, vadai osata. What does that mean? If she. No, about doing it with the horses. I was in Kolo for 8 years.
But when he said it's she agrees.
Yeah. Just listen.
Yeah, listen again.
You'll hear it. So that was an interesting answer. Im he matzima vadayosatef. She agrees to it. As soon as I heard the answer, I said, put her right here from this. She's not going to agree. Obviously, she doesn't agree because otherwise the Rebbe would have to tell me that if she agrees. So truth to the Rebbe's words and everything. She didn't agree. Not Kayla. She didn't agree. We lived in Eretz Yisrael for all the years, and we were at that time we were in spots. I was doing Shalom in spots. So she had a Hayot Hagalil. She did Sheiklah and this from all over Eretz Yisrael. So when we spoke to her, gave her the understanding what the Rebbe wanted, so she agreed, and that's how it started. Me going out with her horses. That was one of the most important shlichus that he had given out. Why? When first time I went to the Rebbe, this before, in Lamed, Tavshin Lamed Vav. Anybody wants to read it? You can go.
Well,
Tavshin Lamed Vav.
well to read it.
It's a mimer. Tomb of Tavshin Lamed Vav. It's the first time I came to the Rebbe. I was there in the shlichus. I was going back there. Israel. The shlichus said, no, we want you to go to the Rebbe. I had not been set up to go to the Rebbe, and I went to the Rebbe. That day, when I first came, he said that mimer was very late, and the beginning, start of the mimer is about the Arba covers of Adam Yisrael in the bottom of Zacharia. The lowest level of Merkava is Zacharia, which is the Merkava shell Susim, about horses.
Zacharia? Zacharia?
That's the lowest level. That's the level of Susim. So the Rebbe went to a part of this. It's not the small part. It's a long mimer. It's the first part of it. He said about the Susim. It's an amazing thing. He said that the greatest. I'm selling the kitzur. The greatest. You read the mimer. The greatest kitzur. I'm saying the greatest part of the mimer is that the Yidden went down to Mitzrayim, and the Rebbe said, with horses. So explain to me, what do you mean with horses? Not camels, they went with horses. Oh, what do we see from Rashi? Rashi shot in Rashi that where do horses come from? Mitzrayim. That's where they went. And that's where they went into Mitzrayim with these horses. And the Rebbe mentions, again, I'm making it short, that the greatest Yerida that the Jewish people had was going down to Mitzrayim on horse, and he ends the end of the mimer saying that Leonidas Piotr will come all through the horses. Who else can say something like that?
And this was the first time it was by the Rebbe.
The first time.
Wow.
That's exactly what the Rebbe said. Just like the greatest Yerida came out of Yidei Asusim, the greatest Aliyah that the Jewish people are going to have is going to come all Yidei Asusim. The Rabbi asked, what was the point? I didn't know the point. I hadn't been even the first time to the Rebbe. That's what he said. I'm not going to take two off. Come shit along the club, take a look at the line.
Have you been involved before then?
Yes, I was.
Oh, okay.
And I have a long history of it. My Zayda also. Excuse me?
So I'm saying the Rebbe didn't tell him to say anybody. The Rebbe told him-
No, of course. Yeah, right. Not gonna, so that's what he wanted. That's what I did. I've been doing that quite a long time. And we should all have slacha.
Amen.
I don't want to, talk all night because I have so many stories. It's amazing. We'll have time to give other stories.
Oh, yeah. In the vessel, Hey, Maka, hey, Maka.
For my grandfather, my mother's father's 90th birthday.
I didn't know you also speak today. Wow.
Italian.
Was at least.
Sometimes the best speakers are the guest speakers. They come as a guest, they become a speaker.
I don't want to guess the guest.
Okay.
I'm a
L'chaim Tovim, Arufim U'Lashalom. L'chaim U'Libracha. So when my grandfather, my mother's father, turned 90 years old, all the grandchildren got together, and one of my uncles was famous for writing many books on all of the Rabbeim, the Alter Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe, Rebbe Rashab, Miki Friedrich Rebbe. He put together a compilation of stories that my grandfather used to tell them to put them to sleep at night. 15 children, I guess it's a big job, right? So I read through them, and Baruch Hashem, I have an amazing father who used to tell us many stories during the night. If ever we had also a bad dream, we ran to the bedroom. My mother said, "Go to Sati, he'll make you feel better." And he did. One of the stories I didn't know, which actually amazed me. They said that in Lubavitch, in the city of Ryazna, yes. So here they had a certain rule. The Alter Rebbe would have the staff interview a teacher. The principal administration would approve, but before the person got to sign the contract and actually go into the classroom, just so to say for protocol, so they would have to meet the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe would have to give his approval. And every single time, he got the approval. One time, they met a very, very talented young man and teacher who really, really impressed everyone he met. And they told him, listen, you're going to meet the Alter Rebbe now, but don't worry. Once you get this far, everyone gets the Alter Rebbe's approval. So he walks into the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe says to him, what's your name? And he says his name is David. And he says, and where do you come from? And he said a certain city in the Ukraine. And then he says to him, I have one more question before you get approved. How would you explain to a Ben Chametz Lemikra, that's like a 5-year-old coming to learn Torah, but it's like a young student, the pasuk that it says in the Torah that when Esau walked in to his father after hunting and after Yaakov already got the bracha, that Yitzchak smelled Gehenna and saw it open up in front of him. If you could tell me how you would explain this to a youngster that's learning Torah for the first time, then and you impress me and you'll get my approval. So what did this man say? He actually came from the Haskalah movement, from the Enlightenment movement, and they were very smart. They knew that in order to infiltrate, you have to teach children because they're very impressionable. And especially no one wanted the job to be a teacher in those days, which was going against the government regime, and they were kind of risking their life. But since this was their motive, they were even willing to risk their life. So how did he ask the Alter Rebbe? You remember the question. How would you explain to a young child that when Esau walked in, Yitzchak saw and smelled Gehenna open in front of him? So he said, it's way too difficult. Why would I explain it to such a young child? I wouldn't explain it to him when he's so young. And the Alter Rebbe looked at him and he said, "What's so difficult? When a man walks into my office and he tells me his name is David, but his name is Yosef, and he tells me he comes from this city, but he comes from another city, and I smell Gehenna and see it open up in front of me, what's so difficult?" Now this man, you can imagine, didn't just sit there. He picked himself up and he ran for his life. And that was not the end of the story. A few months later, we found a telegram that actually was sent from him to his colleagues, and he said, "Don't bother. In Lubavitch, we will never infiltrate." So there we see that the Alter Rebbe took such a big care on who are the Mechanchim in his city. But it's interesting, it's like about Shem Tov stories. They say if you believe in all of them, so you're what? You're a fool. If you don't believe in any of them, you're an Epicurus. But also we have to believe that these stories are stories that could actually repeat themselves in our days. So this story, I had a Baal Shem Tov story, which was my favorite, which actually I experienced too. But this story was unbelievable. In 2020, I was Zeicha to go. I went every single year until 2020. So the Alter Rebbe and the Baal Shem Tov every year on their birthday. We would start at night in one place, finish the whole Tehillim, then go in the morning to another place. And that was the way, and we went to all the other Kfarim too. Now, one year in 2020, most people didn't get to go because it was COVID, right? It was COVID. Now over there, the summer before, they had a charter going to the Rebbe's father, Papa. And I begged them, "Can I go on this charter?" And they told me it's only men. And I was very sad and very disappointed. So at least I made sure that I'm going to go, not for Chayel, but for Yuchas Kislev or for Haftalit Tevis, maybe I think it was. I'm gonna actually go to the Alter Rebbe and the Baal Shem Tov. And in walks a gentle. Now, in the airport, Avi Sholden, who was sponsoring the tickets and the plane from New York, gave me a promise that when they open up the borders and when things come down, he's going to buy also for me and also for my friend a ticket. And then I was never able to get through to him again. In walks a very wealthy man that kind of looks to me like Avi Sholden. So at the right opportunity, I thought, I go over to him, I said to him, "Are you Avi? Are you Avi?"
Me?
"Yeah, you are." "Are you Avi Sholden?" "Not yet." I said, "Are you Avi?" That's right. I said to him, "Are you Avi?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Avi Sholden?" He says, "Yes." I said, "From Florida?" He says, "Yes." I said, "So how come you're not keeping your word and buying me and my friend for both their tickets?" He told me, "Oh, I'm going to keep it, don't worry. Like, leave me alone right now or whatever." Anyway, I don't remember what happened. I told him I gave him a little bit of a piece of my mind. And listen, hold on 1 second. A little, maybe a big one. Okay, all of a sudden, I see the guy is nervous. He starts coming back and forth from the place that I'm going with like a bodyguard, like with the Hasidic bodyguards. I'm thinking, this is really weird. Avi Sholden always has Sam Stern around. Again, look at Spielberg. These guys, I don't recognize them. I said, "What? They came alone? Maybe they're scared of COVID." I look back and forth, back and forth. All of a sudden, some guy says to me, he goes, "Listen, that guy you spoke to, that's Louis so-and-so." I don't want to say his last name in case someone doesn't know. He said, "He's so rich. How did you have the chutzpah to speak to him?" I said, "That's so-and-so? He told me he's Avi Sholden, and he told me he's from Florida, but he's so-and-so from another city." Don't believe this. This is the story about the Rebbe. So I went over to him. I said, first of all, I said, "Because you know it's amazing. Avi Sholden for sure didn't deserve to get screamed at. Someone said you got screamed at." I told Avi the story. He laughed so hard. He said, "You can't make up such a story." And I said to him, "But, I'm going to tell you the story of the Alter Rebbe." And they were dancing. They're like not Lubavitch dances over there. Because there were no Lubavitch there. So Lubavitch were kind of scared to come down there. There were maybe 3, 5, I don't know, 10. But anyway, so at the end of Shabbos, he was supposed to stay another day. He ordered a plane to get him out of there. I said, because I said, "Look, you see, in Lubavitch, no one will ever infiltrate." So it's interesting that that's the story. So someone told me a name by the Alter Rebbe, a wrong name and a wrong city. And wow. So you see that the Alter Rebbe is Chai Bakayim. He comes, he stays, and he takes care of us. And we can rely on him. The Hashem, the new building should go up very soon. To be educating Jewish children in a beautiful way. And we should all see simchas and share simchas over here.
Gonna be on your face. I'm gonna see your nose this time. Want to say one more story, Rabbi Gedalia? One more story. Yeah, la 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 la. Yeah, la 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 la. Miguelito Lefine.
Okay, let me tell you one story. I think it's very amazing. It's a miracle. People like to hear stories of miracles. We know the tremendous miracles that the Baal Shem Tov did, the Rebbe did, and all the Rebbes did. Many, many, many miracles. I'll tell you a story of me with the Rebbe. A miracle. I was one day I was at a auction and I was selling the horses. So I buy and sell. I go England, Ireland, France, all over Europe and South America, buy and sell horses, pull them, and I train, and it's when I do my business. One day I was in Maryland, and I saw this fellow that I knew years ago. I had been away from racing for like 19 years. I was in Yisrael. I said, I learned and parallel and learning. Saw him, and he said, he said, I've seen you, and we started talking. He said, you have a horse there that I've been watching running, and he seems like the trainer doesn't know what he's doing with his horse. 1 week he's running short distances, next week long distance. 1 day on the dirt, and next week he's running. 2 weeks later he's running on the turf. So it's the grass. Anybody ever been to Goldberg or any of the racetracks? We have grass, we have turf, and now they have synthetic tracks. So he said, I agree with you. And we were talking. He said, Lil, I want you to do me a favor. You're going to give this up. I want you to call. I'm the manager of the biggest stable in New York. And I had at that time, I was just in Maryland. I had just come back, started working at horses. This man had over 200 horses, the biggest stable in New York. He said, I want you to call him and tell him I'm his manager. I want you to meet you, and I would like you to train the horses for him, and you will make an appointment with me. So I went home. Before I do anything, I don't do anything without asking that I have nothing. I don't care what it is. Before I moved here, before I came here, whatever I do, ask. I got a brook. Got a brook. So he sat down to write this letter to the Rebbe. Tell him that, wow, this is what's happening. This guy has horses. It's going to be a great opportunity. He's not Jewish guy. Sheva Mrs. B'nai Noah. And a Talainer, I don't know if any against Yiddish, an Italian guy. Mafia, one of the mafiosa guys that I trained so many horses for. Meyer Lansky, I don't know if anybody heard of Meyer Lansky. I trained for Meyer Lansky. Gambino and Bees. When I started out, I was training for all we call them the Goombas. All these guys. So I'm writing all this to the Rebbe that, wow, it's such an opportunity. Shabbat mitzvahs. And it'll be a tremendous it'll be a piercing blood. I had only 4 or 5 horses. Came back, I had 4 or 5, I don't remember at the time exactly, but it's like 200 horses, and they're the #1 stable. New York's #1, the #1 stable. I'm writing the letter. I'm really excited about it. I put in the letter to the Rebbe about, like I say, I was so excited. And I was reading the letter, and all of a sudden the Rebbe says in the letter, this would not be good for you. I almost fell. Bleed, but he said, this would not be good for you. When you hear the next line, this I didn't expect to hear. I understand not good for me. The next time was, and it would not be good for Klal Yisrael. What's the shaykhs to me training the horses and Klal Yisrael? That's what the Rebbe said clearly. Yeah, this would not be good for you. Okay, not good for me. I understand. I'm going to get along with it. Something's going to happen. Klal Yisrael, it's not going to be good for Klal Yisrael. So that's it. I didn't do it. I didn't even call the guy. I didn't take the job. Well, his manager, once we signed, he never spoke to me again. He was furious. I told him you're coming. I got this top trainer now that came back now from Israel. And we have the train. I didn't understand. Okay. You have to have a Muna B'Tochin, as I said earlier. Muna and B'Tochin is very, very important. Didn't take the horse. Lo and behold, the guy keeps doing better. The next year he wins the highest level, the grade 1 in the Breeders' Cup races, in second in Kentucky Derby. All these big races, I got these 4 lower class type of horses. I didn't have those kind of investors and people to deal with. So I'm waiting 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. He keeps getting better. He's doing better. And people say, Gedalia, what did you do? You didn't get blah, 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 blah. I had many times for bringing it. 770, many, many times. And people had heard the story. So finally, 10 years later, 10 years later, he was arrested. The owner of the horses was arrested for abusing animals, and horses that he had on his farm, and some other places. The horses in the trap were not used, but just imagine, I sitting waiting 10 years. What did the Rebbe mean? This would not be good for me and Claudia Sale, because if Chas V'Shalom, I would have been training those horses. No, it's guilt by association. No, the guy that was training them, who had nothing to do with any of that development or abuse to those horses. They were on the farm, and he was in the trap. He didn't have a job anymore after he got fired. This man went to jail. He went, his maximum they could give him was a $250,000 fine and a year in jail. And he was very, very wealthy. He even gave to the people that took over those horses a couple $1 million, ASPA, millions of dollars. He was the big guy. We were just saying, you have to have money in the token. When I told one of the stories in Farbrengen, one of the guys said, his name is Elul Farbrengen. I think he's the shliach in Mill Basin. He said, and he yelled, Gedalia, jumps up. He says, that's not the miracle. He says, the miracle is that you didn't take the job. Let's be honest, we would have not turned down, 200 horses when you had 4. Anyway, so that is a momish story. One of the miracles. I had so many miracles over all these years. 10 years till the Rebbe's, his vision, his sight goes, throughout the whole world. That's the true story. This guy, Rachavia, he's like the miracles that come out for the good of all Yisrael. And this would have been a very bad. It was good for all Yisrael, but I didn't take the job. We would have been a tragedy.
If you don't mind, I'll just tell you the Baal Shem Tov story.
Wow. Rabbi, sing, I sing. I don't know. This is not like hey, for the fight that I didn't understand that Hashem has a plan, and that's all it takes to make it good.
Wow. Okay, so now I'll tell you my favorite. I got permission from the rabbi. My father said I should make that announcement, so I'm going to speak to my father.
Wow.
All right, this is actually my favorite story. I heard it with my wonderful mother at a Hebron concert from Abraham Fried. He got up on a Masik Shabbos, and he said, as we all know, I'm a Lubavitcher Chassid. He was singing Baruch Haba Melech HaMashiach, and he said, it's the minhag of Hasidim to say a story of the Baal Shem Tov on Masik Shabbos, School for Parnasa. And we all know that the Rebbe says not just on Masik Shabbos, but any day, not just for the Baal Shem Tov, of any tzaddikim, and not just for Parnasa, but for anything. How much more so about the Baal Shem Tov on Masik Shabbos and for Parnasa, and I'm sure on his birthday. So the story goes as follows. There was a chassid that every day on his birthday, every year on his birthday, would travel to the Baal Shem Tov, to Medzibush, to get a bracha that would last him the whole year. This gave him strength for the whole year. And every year he would travel for 2 weeks. He would travel back for 2 weeks. If anyone ever did the traveling, even nowadays in a Mercedes-Benz, it takes forever and it's hard. Imagine in a horse and buggy. What'd you say?
A German car.
Yeah, we don't choose the cars. We only hire the drivers. But I'm saying it's really a hard trek, even with the roads half done. So the wife kind of complained because the husband was gone for 6 weeks. There was no way to reach him. She didn't know if he'd be safe. Not safe, you're saying it's the good life then. But no, she said, 6 weeks her husband is gone. So one year, the husband turns to his wife and he says, my dear wife, this year you're going to be very, very happy. I decided I'm not going to go to the Baal Shem Tov for my birthday. She goes, oh my goodness, what do you mean? I'm a chassid's wife. I'm a chassidist. Why would I be not happy? He says, every year you complain. She says, but you know I'm happy that you go. So she says, I know you well enough. Just like Abby said, you gave a little bit of your mind. So she says to him, what's the real reason you decided not to go? So he said the real reason he decided not to go is because the horse and the buggy are so old that they're not going to make it. So she said, so what should we do instead? So he said, instead, let's invite every single person in the whole town to a Farbrengen in our home. And we're going to ask them that instead of a present, everyone should make up one with another. It's much easier to say to someone, I'm making up with you because they asked me to, not because I feel bad. So this way, everyone got together and everyone was in Shalom. And they had a beautiful party. And at the end of the party, when the wife was cleaning up, Farbrengen, exactly. Thank you. A beautiful Farbrengen, and everyone said the Chaim. And at the end, when he was cleaning up, she sees that her husband is in a depression. So she says to him, my dear husband, why are you so sad? You had the most beautiful Farbrengen that anyone had in the whole community. So he said, my neshama is missing to see my Rebbe. So she said, well, what should we do? Every last penny we spent on this Farbrengen. We can't even hire something. You know, all the money we put away, we spend. So he said, give me a bracha as my wife, that I will be successful with this horse and buggy, that I'm going to make it to the Baal Shem Tov. You remember the story, Ma? So she says, okay, you have my blessing. So he starts on his way, and a few hours into the forest, he hears a creak and a crack, and the wheel that's made out of wood breaks. So he gets off of the wagon, and he puts the wagon on the side, and he goes on the horse's back. And the horse tries as hard as it can, but after a few hours, it collapses, and it's the end of the horse's life and his career. Talking about horses, that's interesting. So he puts it on the side, and he's sitting in the cold in the night. He can't even see the moon or the stars. And he says, what did I do? In Yiddish, like the rabbi said, I'm nicht dahin und nicht daher. I'm not here and I'm not there. What a silly mistake I did to leave the house with a horse and buggy and think my wife's bracha is going to get me there. And he started to become a little depressed and sad, but he said, listen, if I fall asleep, I could get frostbitten. There's wild animals and there's robbers. And then he remembered a chassid never gives up. A chassid doesn't have ego. He doesn't become depressed. They give up. So he said, I'm going to start to sing a song. My father used to do this all the time when we traveled. We knew he was tired. He would open the window, shake his leg, and start singing a niggin. Right, Sam? Right, Ma? My mother says yes. So this chassid starts to sing. The chassid starts to sing Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu HaTishvi. And when he gets to the words Bin Heira Yavo Elenu, he hears hoofbeats. He says, wow, either it's a lift, a tramp, like they say in Israel, I could get him a ride somewhere to the next town, or it's robbers. And he looks down and he sees a beautiful golden carriage. And the man opens it, and I can imagine someone looking like Rebbe Yitzchak opening and says, Rebbe Yid, where are you going? So he says, if you'll only bring me to the next town, I'll be so happy. So he said, but where were you going? He said, me? I was going all the way to, anyone guess? Where do you think he was going? To Mendibus, to the Baal Shem Tov. So he says, wow, jump in, me too. He says, I was waiting for company. So they jump in, and a little bit afterwards, he says, how did you get to the middle of the forest? You didn't fly here. So he tells him the story I told you. So he says, if that's what happened when you sang Eliyahu Hanavi, let's sing Eliyahu Hanavi together. Maybe we'll have more miracles happen. And they're singing the whole way. You know the story. I told it in your house. They're singing the whole entire way. Finally, they get to the Baal Shem Tov. And this Yid, he says to his friend, I know you gave me a ride. You deserve to go ahead of me. I can't take it, though. Can I jump ahead of line and go into the Baal Shem Tov? He said, sure. He goes into the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov smiling from ear to ear. And he turns to him and he says, tell me, how did it feel to sing Eliyahu Hanavi? Thinking, he doesn't even know that. With Eliyahu Hanavi. Yeah, that's the story. And what happened? The same one of the years that I went to the Alter Rebbe, I was with an Almana. We missed our first flight to Kiev. We transferred to Dnepr Petrovsk, as someone was speaking about. Over there, I got out and I said, does anyone know where the menorah center is? All the taxi drivers do. They got us there. We said to the taxi driver, come back tomorrow. Rabbi Kamenetsky will interview you in the broken Russian that we knew, and he's gonna tell us if it's safe to go with you. We went into the kosher hotel, kosher wine, it was amazing. In the morning, we asked Rebbe Kamenetsky, can you interview the driver? He says, why do you have a driver? I said, to go to the Alter Rebbe. He says, you're not going with the driver. Our whole family is going. We have room on the bus. In all the years we're on Shlichus, we never went. We have plenty of room for you. We have plenty of food for you. So, wow. This is like a Baal Shem Tov story. Now, my friend is with me. She's getting a little bit nervous. She's actually a chassid of Rabbi Nachman. She says, how are we going to get from there to Rabbi Nachman? I said, don't worry, we'll figure it out. But I first need to go to the Alter Rebbe in Hadish, and then we need to go to Nezhin. And then we can go to Mezhikush or anywhere else, to the Mikla Rebbe. We get there, we meet Nan Nachman, and he says, who wants to split the ride to Rabbi Nachman? But I felt that the Lubavitcher should first go to Nezhin. So I speak to the guy in charge of tour guide. I said to him, can we join you? He says, listen, Rachi, people I know you've paid many years, but this year you didn't pay, and people paid lots of money. I don't know if there's room. I don't know if they'll let. I said, I already spoke to them. They all said it's okay. So he said, okay, but till where? I said, just to Nezhin. He said to me, when you get to Nezhin, you promise that if I want you to go down, you'll go down from the bus? I said, no problem. He said to me, you're lying. How are you going to go down? Nezhin's in the middle of the forest. It's not in a city. I said to him, you think Hashem can send me to the Nefer and get me a ride from the Nefer to Hadish? And from Hadish to Nezhin, and from Nezhin, Hashem forgot how to take care of the world? Don't worry. I believe the Eibishter will help me. Yes. Now, on the way, I asked to tell a story. And he already knew for many years I would tell stories on the bus. So he gave me permission. Some Hasidim would strike. I said, what are you doing? You're letting a lady tell a story? He says she has good stories. I tell him this story, and you know what he says? I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make me feel guilty. I said, no, I'm not. We get to Nezhin. There's a BMW waiting. It's raining outside. The lights are on. He says to everyone, Chevra, stay in the bus. There must be a VIP here. And we'll wait till he leaves because they like their own private time. So we stay in the bus. He comes back in 10 minutes later and he is laughing an uncontrollable laugh. So we all said to him, what's going on? She said, there's no VIP. We said, who's in the car? He says, no one. We said, what do you mean? He said, I interviewed the taxi driver. I said, why are you here? He said, a friend of mine called and said, there's Jews in town. Maybe if you want some money, go to Nezhin, you might find someone. I said, are you kidding me? They said, Rabbi, your taxi is here. I said, but you already told me you're going to the Baal Shem Tov. I'm going to go with you. But it was a great story because it showed that really, first of all, Hashem could take care of anything. And second of all, that the Baal Shem Tov story, it happened. So we went all the way to the Baal Shem Tov.
Yeah. Make sure you guys put the money.
He is for me. He is my ear. He is my nose. He is his nose.
First time
Let's go to another we didn't finish. We didn't finish.
We just started.
We just started. Julio said something on the job. He's the season. He knows how to do it.
Señora, ¿se siente que esta hora?
No.
Todo bien. No, yo no quiero presionar a nadie. ¿Ya? Sí. Máquina no mames. Joaquín me consideraron como alguien que no, tipo, ¿verdad? Una buena idea. No, yo quiero que la señora Julie conozca a Karen Yosafela Sánchez.
They tell them to run, they pay the door and make somebody else. Take it,
Necesito un favor de ti.
Maybe here? Yeah.
Barely on Shikoya.
Amen. God bless.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your story.
Thank you. My pleasure, sir. You like it?
I did.
It takes food.
You just say it.
It's not the king himself.
No, I'm not.
You better.
You never know.
I said it. You heard it?
You never know. Like I say, you just in the moment. You never know how that Hashem takes you to that point. Point A to point B.
Absolutely.
But Baruch Hashem, I'm here.
Julius Caesar.
You got the guy there with the flowers on his head of the car.
You know the most beautiful thing I got here. He was the first one who received me. One of them. He's like, listen, I'm making this. And if you like it, it's okay. Whatever it is, I'm okay with it. You know, because when you do things out of your heart, you can't stop that. And he said right there, he says right here. Do you? Go ahead.
Come. You have a Jewish name yet?
Gedalia, exactly what I
Oh, Gedalia, that's better than Julius Caesar.
Exactly that. Gedalia station. No.
Okay, I'm just going, I'm not sure.
I want to go that far.
Gedalia is the same kimat as Eliyahu.
Yeah. But just go right there.
And you're good at that.
First part, you know why? Because when you learn, you were probably gonna be scared. You see what you're doing. You know the story. Yeah, you had to eat. You had to eat.
You know what they say? They say if you sit down by the man says, okay. And unloads all of their personal, all of their problems. You got to go back to the other part.
Some done is you said old and beautiful story. So you're doing, I was about to cry sometimes. When you were saying, oh, yes. I'm a baby. And that part, because I don't see things like this. I mean, every particular person has is it a human? You're from America? I'm not really. Momento de lo que quieras. Che, quédate para Farbrengen que se vaya a la casa a las 2 de la noche. Me vale madre. Buenas noches, señora. Alberto, they live here. Over here. Yeah. No, it's Spanish. Spanish live at home. No, you don't get to it's already
Can I ask a question? אפילו כרגע חי ברוך ממש ולא שייך לנשיא דורנו. נשיא דורנו, לנשיא הדור, לא שייך יעקב חי והוא בחיים מעל 10 פחים. So who's made the nשיא הדור of דורנו now? Rebbe. So if the Rebbe says about the Rebbe, the Rebbe is חי ברוך ממש. So why we're not allowed to say together later? I just said right now, you need to say it out loud. Open and come. Call to.
No puede depender tu vida de otra persona. No, yo no quiero eso.